Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. As always, I'm Steve Martin. You can see we're on one screen because I'm round at Paddy Bhoys HQ, and we thought we'd jump on and do our wee preview match as we have a look towards the big match tonight. Kairat Almaty, it's a must win, as it says there. It's now or never. Defeat is simply not an option in Kazakhstan for the boys. Can we unlock the Champions League group phase again and all the riches it goes with, and ultimately a couple more players, let's be honest with ourselves, or is there another banana skin waiting to be happened? So, joined by Paddy Boy. Apologies for the lateness. I asked Paddy if he wanted to go on live, and he says he was injured, so so I had to coax him round to get himself on. Hopefully you can hear things loud and clear. Just let us know we're using these wee tie-clip mics because there's two of us here. But Paddy, the day has cometh. It's an early kick-off, albeit it'll be quite late over there. And is anything shifted? How's the confidence levels, mate?
I'm still confident. Obviously, yesterday we spoke to Tony Hamilton as well, and he was pretty confident about it. Going into the game, watching the press conferences and stuff, I thought Brendan looks confident. Decent enough squad. Obviously, we've got a few people out, but I think we've got enough in the tank to do them. I really do. Let us know what you guys think as well. But I reckon going into this, we should be coming out with a 3-0 win.
Well, I like that. I like the confidence there. Yes, let us know your thoughts on the match. Get any predictions that you may have, whether it's scores, whether it's going to be a lineup, how you think this one's going to be panning out. There's a couple of wee news type things to talk about. Obviously, we'll look at the squad. There's a couple of injuries to Kairat, which can only help things for ourselves. But at the same time, maybe puts a wee bit of pressure on because there can really be no excuses when they're looking to have three of the key players out in it.
Yeah, listen, Sakbayev's the main one.
Yep.
The young lad that signed for Chelsea. Brendan even spoke about him, and he'd said that he had spoke to his people at Chelsea and asked about the young lad, and that they couldn't praise him high enough. So somebody like that, do you know what I mean? For him to be a loss for them is massive. The keeper, I thought last week he did an absolute worldie. He was brilliant. Really, really stopped us. And going into it, listen.
We've also found out as well, one of the other attacking options, Emilson, he is also looks as if he's going to be out there. Of course, it could be one of these miraculous Lazarus-like recoveries where he comes back. But as it stands at this moment in time, two of those three guys that were on that forward line are going to be out. And your keeper, what is the quality like that have got to come in? Well, that remains to be seen. That's another unknown quantity that you get with these kind of teams. But the manager and Liam Scales, they done the press conference. It was laser focused, as we said. They know what's at stake. And I just felt that after listening to the manager, listening to how assertive he was, it put a wee bit more confidence into me because as you well know, I thought that this one would be sticky and it could be a right tight affair. I'm not saying we're going to smash it home like yourself, but I feel a wee bit more confident that the eyes are firmly on the prize.
Listen, see if Brendan can do that for us. If he can make us feel confident, surely he's got the ability to make the squad feel confident about it as well. And obviously, you've seen Callum McGregor's interview. It's down to us. The players know exactly what they have to do. We don't exactly know much about Kairat, who they've got coming in. Listen, I feel like we did underestimate them. Brendan got asked that question by one of the Kazakh reporters, and he basically nullified it. But I think we did. I think we did underestimate them. We went into it thinking Celtic Park, 60,000 people there. We're going to demolish this team, and listen, they came at us. They done a good job defensively. I thought they were very good. And they caused us problems. So I think going into it, we know what we need to do now. We need to go out there and grab it.
I mean, see, we go back and we'll look at last week's game, right? We sat and we've done a post-match, and since then we've chewed over the fat and we've tried to come round. And we hate saying it, we hate using the term a bad day at the office, right? Yeah. But see, when you've allowed the smoke to settle, you've had a look, you've digested the performance, and then you've heard the players, you've heard the manager, you saw what a rotated team could do against Livingston. We've got those guys rested and so on. Looking back, with hindsight, it's great, isn't it? What was it what was wrong, apart from no scoring, obviously, and winning the game? What was missing for last week?
The bite, the fight, the desire. We've spoken about that so many times. We actually covered it the other night as well when we were talking about the talk about Callum McGregor. And I think this is a game that's just suited to somebody like Callum to grab it, to drag these Celtic players that don't understand what it means to play at this level. Into the game, and I just feel like we've got this now. We understand it, and this is time. This is the time to actually go in there and go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we get into the match and before we sort of talk about what we think the lineup's going to be, how it's going to pan out, of course, we'll just say, as we always do, skip by it because we just want to get right into action. Welcome back, Celtic World Order. Thank you to every single one of our subscribers. And if you're brand new, what are you doing? It costs you nothing. Hit subscribe. It costs you nothing. All our content, Paddy, is 100% free. We want to keep it that way. But if you want to help out the channel, put it all together, you can. Member section. It's a wee donation to the channel, just helps us there with that. Yeah. There's been a couple of good videos. The response has been good. The numbers have been churning. So thanks to everybody that's joined our community. We've also done the upload last night with Tony Hamilton talking about Celtic FC Foundation. I really enjoyed that, and certainly that's something that I think you should check out. It's a good opportunity for Tony, and more importantly for the club, to actually have a wee bit of sort of dialogue with the fans and tell us what goes on. And certainly that side of the club, well, that's something, no matter how you feel about what we're doing with signings like that, you can't say fairer than that. It's a big, big positive that we've got at the club. And if they could have that same level of energy and generosity when it comes to supporting our manager, then we'll be in a good spot, won't we?
Listen, that's it. I've managed to get Tony Hamilton on for the Celtic Foundation. Peter Lawwell, you're next. I'm coming for you. We'll get him on.
Fat chance, what you plan on putting a bin bag over and chucking about your more?
If that's what I have to do, then that'll happen. No, listen, it was fantastic to have somebody like Tony on, telling us all about the foundation, the work that they do. There was a lot of things that I didn't even know that the foundation done, like the taking the homeless people in it.
Yeah, the pit stop at Paradise is a brilliant sort of initiative. And again, as he says, it's a humble sort of cause, and it's not really something he says, and it was quite poignant. He says, I'm a bit ashamed that we have to do this in modern society, and that really hit home, because it'd be easier for us to sit there and go, you must be really feeling amazing and rewarding that, but no, he points at some stuff, but that just shows you we're doing a lot of good work behind it. We don't go out and shout about, but it needs a platform every now and then.
In a position like that, it's so easy to blow smoke up your own arse.
Yeah,
look what I'm doing, look at all of this charity work that we've done, and it's incredible the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And I was a little bit disappointed as well when he said that the Legends match is coming up against Manchester United. I think that'll be incredible, but you've seen only 25,000 tickets being sold, so listen, get in about it. It's going to be a fantastic
as
occasion.
He says, though, we're notoriously late, aren't we?
We're
notoriously late
about it,
signing players. We're notoriously late in signing players, and we're notoriously late to make our mind up if we're going to do that. But I'm sure if people start to hear some of the names that are still to be announced, and if they look at their window and it's sunny, by the way, they'll just turn up, won't they?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And the players that have to be announced are brilliant.
Anyway, let's get down to business, get on about the fat end of the day's business. Couple of things have broke, which is positive. Of course, we now know that Balakwisha's entourage and him, they have been convinced of the project. They're coming over. And I think despite the reports saying that they're here right now and they're doing the medicals, the understanding is that is going to be tomorrow. Both him and obviously we'll see Marcel Sarachi from Boca Juniors as well. That's a straight up loan. Balakwisha, I believe the fees anywhere between £4.5 to £5 million. But he comes in, he's going to be a permanent player, and it'll be a case of medical in London tomorrow, hopefully then returning straight up to Glasgow and pushing it through. The other one is Marcelo Sarachi. Now, we spoke briefly about him, Paddy, and I just want to bring it up again. It's a bit of not a strange one in terms of its experience, 27. One thing I would say, and I think a lot of people have maybe taken this for granted, see when you look at his CV, right? He's travelled around, he's played at some good teams, but he's played at Galatasaray, he's played for one of the RB sides. More importantly, he's played for both River Plate and Boca Juniors. Now, if people think that skipping over for Celtic to Ibrox is bad, that's different gravy. That's balls of steel, by the way, right? So,
pardon me.
I've got to say, I quite like that, mate.
Aye, that is quite ballsy. Quite saucy. Pardon the pun with his name, Sarachi. Yeah. Aye, listen, he looks good on paper. I like the fact that he also brought up Steve, he can play left back or right back, which for us at the minute is very, very suited. So, yeah, let's.
I mean, what do you think? Just on that, let us know what you guys think. Certainly, about Balakwisha and Sarachi. The one thing I found was quite strange, though, and I just want your thoughts on this. It's looking as if it's a straight up loan. Now, the loan fee will be quite inexpensive by the looks of things, which again really, really surprised me. He seems like a guy who's really good pedigree. You look at his body of work, he's got European experience as well. And more to the point, it says Galatasaray, Boca Juniors, River Plate. If you want to talk about fan expectation, you want to talk about having to win every game, and in some cases is drastic and dramatic as it sounds, for some of these guys it can be literal life and death. I mean, these guys are getting accosted in the public domain and threatened for no winning games. So if he can play there, then surely, just surely, he can step up and in Glasgow.
He's got to have a bit about him. Like you said, to step for Bucket River Plate is a bad one. That's like proper Mo Johnston stuff there. That's so listen, fair play to the young laddie. Just hope he comes in and he can do a wee bit in Glasgow.
I just want to bring this up on us. This is a point that Jay makes. We have had a poor record in that market, that South American, Latin America. We've had has there ever been a player that we've signed that actually, I mean, let's think of the last Uruguayan we had, Diego Laxalt, who turned up looking like he'd been fresh off the beach at Benidorm with his wee cornrows in and his specs and telling us about how he was a streamer and a gamer. Listen, not criticising modern footballers into all sorts of things, but he came for the sort of ranks at AC Milan. He was a guy that was in the World Cup squad at the tournament, and when he turned up, he looked as if he'd only ever played football on his computer.
Aye, he did. It was terrible. Like you say, the cornrows and the wee specs. He was sitting there like Harry Potter. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Came onto the park and, like you say, he never kicked a ball.
And here's the thing. I can understand these slight concerns. People saying, why is it only 100k loan fee? That seems ridiculous for a guy who's got 9 full caps for Uruguay and I think close to 50 at the unders level. So he's a well-seasoned player. I think he's had a wee dips up and down here, but you look at his body of work, he's been getting games. Maybe he's fallen out of favour. Have you any concerns? We've talked about the pressures. No doubt he can deal with the pressure. But aside for that, we sort of stint in Europe. I say stint, 2 stints in Europe, but generally speaking, he's kind of moved on. Do you think, have you any reservations that he might be a guy that's just more comfortable being in somewhere that feels closer to home?
Like Burnley?
Yes.
Kind of like what he was. I hope not. Listen, if he's played at Galatasaray and things like that, then you'd expect him to be able to play anywhere. I'd expect him to come in at Celtic and actually do a job. I don't really have any reservations on it. I'm just hopeful more than anything. Same as...
And see the fact that it is just a straight up loan. Now, it could be one of these situations where if you get him and he plays, even though it's a straight up loan, you might then renegotiate. You might like what you see and think about taking him on. Right, that's an option. I do think though that considering it was such a low loan fee, you would imagine any option to buy would be pretty cheap. So I'm kind of trying to get my head around why that's not been worked into any would-be deal. If you have any reservations, any concerns over the fact that this could be an indication perhaps of the uncertainty around about the manager and not wanting to commit to bring in guys who are under this current tenure that he's there just in case it changes, or is it maybe something just simple of we'll get Alistair Johnson back, we will have back at that point some other options. I heard someone say it earlier on, but I don't necessarily believe it, that maybe they also think that Anamura might be a wee bit more ready next season.
Well, that's it. We've seen it. We've seen him play. I've seen he's played against lesser teams, we'll call them, but he's looked good. Obviously, we need a replacement for Alistair Johnson, so I'm thinking Sarachi's going to be the man who's going to come in and replace him. Also hoping as well, same thing you put in the chat, there's maybe a wee typo. It's no 75 grand, it's 750,000.
Oh, the same as here's 100k. There's been max 75. When I saw that 75,000, I was like, what? Right. Sure, that's a typo. And he's coming at 100 grand. No, factual, that's what it's supposed to be. It seems really, really cheap for a guy that's got that experience. Yeah. But hey, I'm not complaining. See if he turns up and he's got a bit of bite, he's got a bit of desire, then that'll work for me.
You don't play for River Plate or Boca, or both of them, for that, without having a bit about you. So the young lad, he's obviously got that.
So somebody saying there, maybe he's a bit of a rat if he said jumping sides out.
Maybe, yeah.
As long as
we've had them before.
We've had them. It's as long as he's a shit house, I'll take that. That's exactly.
But speaking of shit houses, did you see the size of Simpson Pusey?
Yes, I did. But that's another thing. That's a good segue actually, because if we look at it, this comes back to where are we at with these signings now. He's been playing Sarashi, that is. Balikwisha's been playing, which is good, right? We've brought in Simpson Pusey. He's travelled with the side, but the manager was asked about why he didn't really feature at the weekend. And even though he's travelled over, I think the likelihood, at least based on face value, it doesn't seem like he's going to feature. Now, I found it a bit strange that he says that he's not quite up to the level in terms of the fitness, and we can probably expect to see more of him. after the international break. Now, again, it all remains to be seen. If we smash it tonight, we get that money, I would expect you'll get Sarashi, you'll get Balikwisha in time for the weekend, and hopefully a couple after it. But just coming back to age and being ready, the Jamie Vardy thing still is circling about. It won't go away. My question would be, if he brought in a young guy, fit, peak his powers, you know, full of testosterone and all that kind of stuff, ready to go, who's been training at a good level at Man City, and he's not quite up to speed, we can't be signing guys that are essentially running down the local park and try to keep themselves fit, because we need guys to hit the ground running now.
Of course you do. And listen, defensively, it's a position that we're struggling in. Obviously, Liam Scales is doing the press conference. Does that mean he's going to step right in? No, it doesn't. But 9 times out of 10, they always do. Do you know what I mean? They have that guy in there. I would fully expect it to be Liam Scales in at the back, and partnered up with Carter Vickers. But yeah, listen, having Simpson Pusey there, he's a good option, and he just looked like an absolute unit in that training jersey and stuff. So, fingers crossed, he gets a wee chance. The Vardy thing, again, like you say, Steve, somebody that's been training down the park without a club, that's just kind of running about. Yes, he'd come in and do a job, of course he would, but I just feel like that's one that's...
Well, there's plenty of opinions that are coming through here about still Sarashi, you know, is Punja's saying vast experience. A lot of people are unsure on it. You know, as true as Tone's saying on YouTube, men's pressure at Boca, and hopefully he's got the bite in the stomach to go through with that. Another one that's coming in here is that he can't get a game for Boca, and you know, this is the thing, we've got good talents in Tierney and Anamura. It's not being negative, it's pointing out something. At this moment in time, Kieran Tierney can't finish a game. Now, I know that will come. But it'll be interesting to see how the manager adopts moving forward in that left-back situation. Inamura was brought in with a view of loaning him out. We know that we're only allowed 5 cross-borders, and we're right on the cusp of that. We're almost maxing that out. So I think we've maybe got 2 that we can still work with. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe 3 an absolute push, but there's a lot of sort of wastage that's sitting around, and guys that are clearly going to have to get farmed out. And, you know, I'm looking at Osman, for example, potentially Inamura. Stephen Welsh is still in the picture, albeit the manager might want to function with having 5 options at centre half. So there is guys that could be getting moved around there. But with Inamura, as much as I think he's shown good progress and steady, and looks like he's good from an attack standpoint and having the ball, I just think that we need something else in. And I'm looking at Sarachi and think it's good left back cover. He can adopt and he can go over to the right. But surely after that AG injury, we're looking at something else. We're not just going to depend on Tierney and or him and Ralston.
Yeah, the thing is with Sarachi, like we said at the start, he's one of the guys who he can play right back as well, and he actually looks comfortable there. I'd seen the famous YouTube video. Obviously, I'll watch YouTube videos of people as soon as they sign or as soon as they're mentioned. Watched a wee bit of Sarachi, and they look comfortable at right back. Obviously, sometimes you see people crossing over. Kieran Tierney's done it. Danny McGrain was famous for doing it as well. But we've seen KT do it, and KT I feel looked a wee bit uncomfortable going in with the wrong foot sometimes. But this young laddie looked a wee bit like a good option there. So I think that's more
defensively, particularly look at tonight. Right, are you feeling a wee bit more confident in the sort of rise, if you want to call that, a Dane Murray? I think he's a guy that's handled himself really, really well. Simpson Pusey at this moment in time, it's really, really peculiar, isn't it? Because look at the options now. We know Trusty he's out, he's got the plantar issue on his foot. That could be something that may well need medical intervention. Would remain to be seen. He's not going to be in the team for a wee bit. So that leaves you've got Carter Vickers, you have Simpson Pusey, you've got Murray, and you've got Scales, right? So you've also got Welsh, who may well still go about. As we said, it was obviously the press north anything, and that sort of died off. Would you think, or would you expect, with as unlikely as it seems, let's get dial in. We need a striker. We need at least another wing-in option.
Yes.
And then we're looking at potentially a right back. Would Celtic just go a wee bit mental and even investigate and look into another option at centre half? Or is Welsh going to be able to cling on again, mate, until at least January?
I know, we kind of joked about it previously and said any time that a team came in for Stephen Welsh, he would get injured, and that'll be him another year at the club. But I just feel like Dane Murray's done himself massive amounts of favours every time we've seen him in there. He looks good defensively. He looks comfortable on the ball, and he's an attacking option for set pieces, which is something that I've said we lack so many times. We get 12, 13 corners.
I'm going to jump in here because this is an absolutely brilliant point that's just been raised here, and it totally went over my head. Yes, now that Inamura has played in that league game against Slovak, he cannot go out on loan, so he's going to have to be about. Great point. Thanks for bringing that up. That just totally went over my head, and that maybe that is an indication that it's totally passed us by. That yes, he wanted to rest players, but it probably would have been easier to just not play Inamura at the weekend, wouldn't it, if they were looking at loaning them out. So yeah, maybe we are looking at a turn in the corner, and we might sort of bring him into games like games against Slovak, like games against maybe a Kelly or something, but you're at home and you feel a wee bit more confident. That's not a bad idea then, is it?
I said before, during pre-season, I looked at the lad and I said, he's an option. He's somebody we can actually rely on here. And we all know Kieran Tierney isn't fully fit at the minute. 60 minutes you're getting out of him, but what 60 minutes you're getting, he's absolutely fantastic. So if we can have somebody coming on, if young Inamura is quite happy to stay there and learn, we've spoken about that in so many different positions. Players coming in and learning, like obviously Sinsalo doing it with Casper and a few others in there. If Inamura is going to come in at Celtic and he's going to learn under somebody like Kieran Tierney, then it can only be good for the young guy.
Well, let's have a look at tonight then, shall we? As we say, we know the news that's came through. Goalkeeper, first choice goalkeeper, injured. This season. Leicester's, as always, with this, there's a wee bit of close to the chest stuff, isn't there? Where, how many times have you heard
not actually injured?
Yes, aye.
Igamani injured.
How many times have you heard about guys being injured and not available, and then boom, there they go. So maybe you set up your tactics, you plan for a game without them, and then they just throw them in there. Let's have a look at it. As we know, the first choice goalkeeper's out, the golden boy up front is out, and one of their main wingers is out as well. So that's a good wedge. That's a good bit of quality out that side. Certainly for the front two, it takes a bit of attacking pace that we are familiar with out the team. But how do we line up? Now, I think it goes without saying, there isn't going to be any change at goalkeeper. It's going to be Kieran Tierney.
Tierney?
No.
Goals?
No, I say it's going to be Casper and it's going to be Kieran Tierney. Right? Just jump in there, ain't you? But Carter Vickers in the centre, it's going to be Tony Ralston because that's just the way it is. We're not going to do any drastic change. But the big question is then, who is getting in there for you? Is it going to be Brave and go with Murray, or are we going to go with Scales? Because the question here that's been asked and the answer is, so with Inamura not in that squad, and as we've just discussed, with Kieran Tierney, legs going 60 minutes, 65 at a push, what happens then? What happens if we are chasing the game at that stage? And she then goes on to say, as much as he's done well, I don't feel like if we're chasing a game desperately 70 minutes, I'm not feeling great about moving Scalesy over to the left back.
Listen, we've done it again. We've done it so many times, and Scalesy's that option. I feel like that is your only option. You get Kasper Schmeichel in goals, you'll have Ralston, you're bang on, you'll have Carter Vickers, you'll have Scales, and you'll have Tierney. And then at one point, we'll probably take off Tierney and bring on, I'd like to say Dane Murray. Bring him on, give him that option, and then Scalesy will move out to the left back position.
I think we need to look at sort of firming up if we're in that position. And the one thing that I like about Dane Murray is bring them in. What I like about him is how quickly he punches the ball into the midfield. Right now, see if you look at Carter Vickers and even you look at Scales, it's the running joke, isn't it? Yeah. Scales takes the ball and he marauds into the midfield and he sort of carries it about, and then he'll occasionally poke one after the side, or he'll pivot around, punch it back to the goalkeeper. The one thing I do like in a game like this, where, let's be honest here, I might be wrong, I would expect Kairat Almaty to be a wee bit more open, a bit more expansive in their play. They are at home, they'll be familiar with the climate, they'll be familiar with the pitch, and there is a level of expectancy on it. Of course, we could always say that they're going to try and do what they've done, maybe take it the extra time, possibly get penalties and Snyder their way through. Right. Yes, they'll be looking at it. We're the big fish to them. And maybe their fans would just settle for that, win at any cost. But that seems like a risky tactic for me. I think that there's got to be a balance. They've got to do less. The attack, don't get me wrong, the attack is at Celtic Park. But it was a lot of absorbing and looking for openings. Are they really going to do that at home against us? Because you've got to expect us being in the front foot and going balls to the wall.
Yeah, I think we have to. They won't sit back against us, surely not. The kind of going thing that you do in the Champions League for these kind of smaller teams is go away and don't get beat. And you've seen the fans at the end celebrating nothing each. We've seen that for other people as well, celebrating draws and stuff. We don't do that technically. We just celebrate wins because we're winners.
Yeah.
But I think they've got to come at us. I think they need to come out. They know they need a goal because we will score and guarantee you that we will get a goal out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they will have to come at us, and when they do, they'll be opened up and the Celtic power will then show.
Well, hopefully, and that is the thing, is, as Jay says, we shouldn't have to rely on injuries for Kairat. Yes, we absolutely shouldn't. We should have enough in the tank to do it. But that's the thing. It's up to us to turn up and do it. It's just a positive that they have injuries and they have guys that are there. I don't know what the depth of their squad's like. Obviously, they've made 1 or 2 wee changes at Celtic Park, but at that point, it was all about sort of cruising and trying to get through, albeit they still had the occasional scare at the end. But in terms of that, we look at the weekend and we look at the quickness. That's what I want to discuss, the lineup and what you think we need. Now, I'm just going to go straight out and say that at the weekend, with a makeshift team, I thought the movement for the centre halves to the midfield, out to the wings, and there was a quickness there. I liked the tempo, I liked the urgency. Yeah, it didn't really sort of click into place until a wee bit sort of later, deep into the first half, getting into the second half of things, really improved. But that's what I'm looking at guys like Dane Murray. I like that decisiveness. And I know that it's not ideal to play Murray and Carter Vickers because of the sort of the balance and things like that. I totally get that. But I would feel at an early stage with an attacking mindset on, I would feel better having Dane Murray for that quick distribution. Same way that I would also quite like to have, I would much rather have Arne Engels in there. I know that that's funny for you, but I think looking at it, I think it was going from Murray pinging it straight in. And this is a one thing that has been pointed out in a few other pods, and I just want to throw it to you. I'm not saying we don't play Cal McGregor, absolutely not. But what was refreshing when he wasn't playing at the weekend was we weren't always going to Cal McGregor as the first pass into midfield. Mm-hmm. We need that speed. And sometimes, only a minor criticism for Callum is that sometimes he can slow the tempo down. Against first ball goes into him.
Against teams like Livingston, you can go without a Callum McGregor. I think when you're up against a European opposition, you need him in there. You need a number 6 because, let's face it, we didn't have a number 6 in there. That's why we weren't getting that pass into the middle of the park, because there was nobody there. We didn't really have that holding midfielder. So we were having to play it out to the wings quicker. We were having to get it up the park. And yes, that is a good thing. Of course it is. But I think against a better opposition, and Kairat, let's face it, are better than Livingston. I think we do need somebody like Callum McGregor in there. Yeah. Especially just to enforce what it actually means.
And here's a thing. Oh, dearie me, like EC indeed, easy on that. He's saying he can see he's getting beat tonight and pumped in the Old Firm. Well, we're all for everybody's opinions here, but dearie me, I don't know if I subscribe to that. Let us know what you guys think. That's not a criticism. I mean, personally, we like all opinions on here, but I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not stupid here. I'm not foolish. Tonight, I expect us to win, but what you expect and what you get are two different things. I've seen a lot of people confident. I think you say 3-0 or something like that. I don't think it's comfortable. I could see it being a 2-1, a 1-0. Don't get me wrong. I would love it. I want us to go out and do it. Do I see us getting beat? Honestly, no. But I'm not daft to the fact that stranger things have happened. And as we know, our record out there, and as the saying, and some of the commenters are saying, they are the 100% a Conference League level side. That is what they are. In the same way that people would say that Celtic are a Europa League quality side. Yeah. Now, I'm of the opinion that Celtic are a Champions League side. In stature and name, in terms of squad, no, not really. So it's a balance in that. But they're also a team of all the Scottish sides that have played that have the lowest European coefficient going into this. But as we've saw, the coefficient in your ranking doesn't necessarily ring true to what you are, because were they a great team? No, they weren't. Were they a garbage team? No, they weren't. And were they, on paper, when you saw the teams that Hibs and Hearts have played, that Rangers have played, were they right down there by comparison to some of them? I don't think so.
I know. I can understand where you're coming from. and it's kind of like a BMI indicator, isn't it?
Tell you're overweight.
Tell
Tell
you
built a brick shit house, you're
aye,
overweight.
do you know what I mean? You could rip to shreds and it's telling you you're fat, but I kind of get the coefficient thing there. That's a total breakdown. But like you say, I understand where you're coming from. I feel like Celtic shouldn't have to rely on certain players being out and other things to beat a mob like this. I think we've got enough there, and we're a big enough squad, we're a big enough team to go out there and do the damage. So, going into it, I'm quite confident. Easy there's struggling, man. I don't know what you've been watching, mate, but listen, we've not been beat this season. We're playing well in the league.
I don't. Tonight, I think's a different one. When we look at the game against Rangers, I don't want to get ahead of it, but I think just for balance of what you're saying, I think when you look at the game against Rangers, is history has told us, and I hate the cliche, form goes out the window and all that, right? But how many times have they been absolute dog meat everywhere else, and then they just get an extra bit in the tank? So yes, that game could be a lot tighter. I think just with tonight, looking at it, and it's saying, and it's been said there, as Leanne's pointing out, 311th in the UEFA standings, we're 56. There's absolutely no excuses, and I just think that confidence that we will go over the line tonight has been instilled in me by seeing what peripheral guys could offer, to say, right, okay, so we need to bring them on. So as long as they can bring that style to the party if they're needed tonight, great. But we've been able to rest the main guys, the manager, the players, all the speech around the club. It's been laser focused. And I think it'll be good to see us actually tonight in an uncomfortable position. A game that has real proper pressure on it, because when's the last time, all right, Aberdeen, I'll throw it out there, but in terms of a European standpoint, or even games against the Rangers, because people say damp squibs. When's the last time Celtic have had a proper pressure cooker? Yes, winning a treble and not delivering was a pressure game, but I'm talking a season-defining game. This is defining, as Tony Hamill says, winning tonight affects everything at this club.
Of course it does. It's been affecting the transfer window even up until now. So, this is an all-in game. Like we said, this is where Celtic need to turn up and perform. If we don't do it, then, like you say, it changes the full dynamic of the season. It really does. And it could affect the signings that are coming in. If we go out there and do a job against them, when we go out there and do a job against them, I'm going to put that in. I think we will do them. Then you'll start to see the movement in the transfer window. We said it before, we say it all the time. As soon as Celtic get that windfall, then that's when they start to invest.
And that's the truth. It's what Punch is saying. If we get through, we need to properly go out and make a couple of statement signings, free up that cash. We already have about £5 million pinged out to Balakwisha. Absolutely next to nothing unless they're actually coming in on loan. We're still, after that, by the way, we're still going to have £16 million in player trading profits in there.
I know.
So go out and get
Plus
those, go out and get those players, because as he says, at this moment in time, we are not good enough to compete in Champions League proper.
No, we're not.
I think when you look at the deficiencies in the squad and how we've not sort of added to that, no disrespect, but I think if we get that draw that we got last season with this current squad, it could be in for a bloody rough ride.
Yeah, of course. But listen, look what happened to us last year against Dortmund. If we go in against decent opposition this year, you never know who you're going to get in this draw. I seen a horror one, and it was like Arsenal, Napoli, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. Like the amount of teams, like the way this system's working, that's ranking them, what the different pots and stuff. Like we could end up with an absolute horrific 7 or 8 teams in it, and it's one of the ones that you need to look at. Obviously, with the Champions League money, when you get in, you're guaranteed the group stage. You know you've got that 40 million guaranteed. Invest it. That's when you need to go, right, lads. If we're going to make anything of this, I'm not saying spend the 40 million. I'm never going to do that.
Yeah.
Give us 10 off it. That gives you 27 million.
26 to play about with.
27 million to play about in the transfer market at this stage in time. Like you said, the Premier League started. Get down to teams like Arsenal, Chelsea, whoever else, and have a look at the players that aren't playing down there, that on the periphery aren't getting their game, and say, listen, how about a wee loan deal? How about you come to Celtic Park? And I know it's loan deals, I know it's not big signings and stuff, but we're a different team from what we were in a 2003 model when we went out and bought all these players for 6-7 million.
Just whilst we're talking signing policy, and could be signing policy after tonight, I've seen this being bandied about, just coming back again to Sarashi. Folk are saying underwhelming. Now, I think the pedigree's there, but underwhelming because it's a loan and it's a stopgap there. Are you all right with loans so long as the quality is there, but it's supplemented with permanent guys as well, or at least if it's a loan with an obligation?
No, listen, I'm good with bringing in guys that are going to come in and do a job for Celtic. At the end of the day, winning's winning. I don't care if your allegiances are anywhere else. If you come in and you can do a job for Celtic, whether you're on the books permanently or whether you're just coming in as an ad hoc, essentially, I don't mind that. But they talk about guys like Raheem Sterling and stuff coming in. See if you could get Raheem Sterling into Celtic to play on that wing. What a signing that would be. Do you know what I mean? That would be crazy, having somebody of that quality. Now, we're not going to be able to get into...
Just check your temperature there. You've made our board, aye?
We're never going to go down there and say to Arsenal, we'll give you 10 million for Raheem Sterling. They're not going to do that.
They'll laugh at you. They'll say, is that cover in 2 weeks or something?
How many games do you want them for? Do you know what I mean? It's one of them. The whole kind of Jinky Johnson joke. But we could go down there and say to him, listen, do you want game time? Do you want to play Champions League? Arsenal, would you like your player to be in the transfer window? You want to see him attract bigger clubs?
But that's the way, that's what I think. That's what, if that's the strategy, so to speak, right? That we're trying to get guys of quality that are maybe out there, that are maybe sellable assets, but they're not getting enough game time, and that makes it hard. Then in that respect, we've got to make that work for us, because if we qualify tonight, then we can say, you'll get definitely 8 games, the Champions League, this guy can win, he'll be a regular, and it makes them more sellable. Now, I get the downside of that, where folk will say, like Simpson Pusey, why are we cultivating other teams' players? Why are we making other teams' players more desirable to sell on and so forth? But it is a balancing act. I think the odd good quality loan needs to be supplemented with permanent as well. But see if we get through tonight and we are to push on, we do make 4. I'm talking 4 above, and it seems lofty. I'm not going to hold my breath. But on top of the 2 that we've talked about there, we get another 3 guys, maybe an absolute push, 4 guys in, off quality. Does it change things for you? Do you then start to believe that maybe we might see talks about a Brendan Rodgers contract, or do you think, regardless of what happens, the big man's just going to see out his 3 years, as he says, and say, cool, no worries, I'm out here?
Every interview you've seen with Brendan, I know he joked about the last one and says, listen, I'm not leaving. I said I'd do 3 years, and I'll do 3 years. I think the 3 years was the agreement, and I think he will do that. I've seen links to Nottingham Forest the other day as well. Listen, if that's something that he's looking at, then by all accounts, wait to the end of the season and then negotiate, or negotiate just now for leaving at the end of the season. But I don't think Brendan's going to leave. I can't see that. He says he's done it before and it didn't work out well for him.
Certainly not.
So he's here. He's here for the foreseeable just now. Would I like to see an extra contract? Yes, of course I would. I'm under no illusion there. He's one of the best managers that we've had. Period. I mean, I'm not going to put a time scale on that. He is one of the best managers we've had, and his statistics show that. So, listen, it'd be a massive loss for us, but he'll see out this season, and then we see who's successful.
Well, it was funny, wasn't it? Because at least we've got the assurances where he says, no chance. When he get asked, that was how definitive it was, no chance, I'm going nowhere. Because we all saw it. There was quite a sizable account, over 3 million, that put out that apparently, lined up for a potential at Nottingham Forest. Yes. I mean, he must have 2 big games coming up this week, innit?
Aye, I know, that's it, exactly. And you see it, I'm just waiting for the injuries as well to be starting to get rumoured and posted about who's out this week and whatever. Even the Agamani thing, it seems to have come at a very adapt time, doesn't it? Just to kind of take some of the limelight off of Celtic.
So let's talk about the squad. We sort of went off on a tangent, but that's good.
Defence makes itself.
Defence makes itself. The big question is going to be the midfield, right? Now, we'll look at the limited options. I'm just going to throw it out there. Under no circumstances does Adam Idah start today for me, right?
Certainly not midfield.
No, I'm talking about midfield to striker, because see, you're trying to jump in. You're a cheeky bastard when you're in person, aren't you?
I know.
No, because what I'm getting at is midfield, no. We've got limited options on the wing. I'm not putting my Idah there. Get that squarely in the bin. He's going through the middle, right? We're not. So Idah cannot play because 1 is going to be given as a less potent forward option, but 2, it's going to affect the midfield that I think could be better placed elsewhere, right? Cal McGregor, no doubt about it.
Yep.
Rio Hatate, no doubt about it.
Yep.
Now, this is where the questions come in. I'm saying for me, I'm putting Maeda through the middle, right? So you're then looking at Yang, you're looking at Forrest, you're thinking about, do we put in Nigrin? Do we then put in all of Hatate, Engels and McGregor and then use the pieces elsewhere, maybe Forrest, maybe Nigrin with Maeda? How are you playing it, Paddy?
That's another question as well. Did Johnny Kenny show enough to be given a chance through the middle?
No disrespect to the guy, but would you want either Kenny
or Yamada,
Osmond or Yamada or Shin for that matter, as much as they've shown a bit of promise, would you, in a make or break, all or nothing game, starting lineup, want any of those guys to lead your forward line in the hope that they're going to turn up, get the business done, and allow you to whip them off and put somebody else on?
Johnny Kenny possibly, but obviously going into it, you're going to want Dyson through the middle. That's what we're going to be asking for. We did try that against them last week, and that quickly got kind of changed out again. It's just what you do with the wings. That's the thing. Yang came in and looked good. He was good on the left. Jamesy Forrest, for me, is a stick on the right. He's going to be there. I think Yang is going to be your main option for left-hand side, hopefully. If we're going to put Dyson through the middle, that is. If Dyson's not playing through the middle, then obviously Dyson's on the left and you have another striker.
Yep.
But I just feel like he won't go Dyson through the middle. I don't think he will. I'd love it. We all would.
Punch is going for essentially tried and tested. Now, I can see that. The manager, for right or for wrong, reverts to type. And folk will be fed up. Believe me, I'm fed up of saying it, but under no circumstances. I said it at the tail end of last season, and I'll say it again for this front end of the season. See, whilst we have must-win games that you need to take with the scruff of the neck and get over the line, Celtic can't afford to have guys like Adam Ida playing in the hope that they're going to turn up. That's just where I'm at with it. Kenny, Shin, Yamada, they've put themselves about, they've shown it. Maeda, has he been great this season? Well, no, he hasn't. But I think I would rather have him knowing his work rate and knowing the way that he can be. If I was rolling a dice, it would have to be him for me over any of the other options, mate.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Punch a little bit. Brendan, for me, is one of the guys who always sticks by his big guys when it comes to Champions League. And obviously Adam Ida's one of the big signings. So I think he'd be in there. I think you're right with Arnie Engels, as much as it pains me to say it. I think Benji Nigrin should start there.
I've seen people shouting like play him as a forward. I don't know. I mean, that's, to me, that's as mental as that boy Asgard getting played as a forward for Rangers the other day. There is options there, but
I think Benji Nigrin, obviously, we know he can play on the right, but even the game against Livy, when you've seen Benji Nigrin playing on the right, I don't think it was a massive option there. I don't think he'd done too much. I think he offers you a lot more when he's playing in the middle of the park, and he looks a lot more comfortable. I think he looked that number 10 role. We said it before. You pointed it out as soon as he came in that he'd be a cracking number 10 role, the kind of Chrissy Commons role, as you said.
Yeah.
And I think that suits him. I mean, you can see that every time the ball comes into the box, he's there. He's in the right position, and that's something that I think we need in games like this. And it's something I don't think Arne Engels offers you. Arne Engels is good going forward. He's good at trying the dangerous stuff, the dangerous passes like Hatate. But for me, he's not there yet.
So see, when we look at that midfield then, how are you shaping up? What's Paddy's midfield then?
I would like it to be Nigrin. I'd like it to be Callum McGregor, Hatate and Nigrin in there.
What about the wings? Are you going reverting to type? Is it saying there?
Wings.
Are you going Forrest dependable on Maeda, or are you throwing a wee curveball with the brightness of Yang that we saw at the weekend? Or is that, again, is he proving that maybe he just doesn't step up in these kind of crunch needs you here for the off?
Again, what I would like and what I think we'll get is different. What I would like is, for, like I said, Yang on the left, Forrest on the right, and Dyson through the middle.
Yep.
I don't think we'll get that. I kind of agree with Punch there. I think we're going to get either through the middle or Kenny, because he scored and he's done a little bit. It was a decent enough finish. And sometimes we know that's all that a striker needs. Sometimes a wee goal just to kick him on. We know he can score in Europe. He's one of these guys who's done it previously.
What about the option that I'd thrown at you? As I say, he's trying to play all four. He's trying to use Hatate, Cal McGregor, Engels, and Nigrin, using Negrin on the right. Now, we've seen him do that. The manager wasn't too enamoured with the fact that he kept cutting in a wee bit. He wasn't given the same level of width.
Yes.
But what he was doing is he was using that sort of wee section that he's got to play in. Yeah, he was coming in, I don't think he was coming in too narrow, but he was exploring the area a wee bit more to put a sort of positive spin on it than you'd get for a normal winger.
If you're playing the centre mid role, or that kind of just off right hand side of mid, and all of a sudden you're flung into being a right winger, obviously you're going to drift. It's natural for a player who's been playing that position to drift in there. If you've got the overlapping prowess of Alistair Johnson, then that's all fine and well. But I don't think Tony Ralston gives you that option as often as what Johnston does.
Yep.
So I don't feel like Negrin would be suited there, especially against a team like Kairat. So going into that, Jamesy Forrest for me is your man. He's stalwart in there. It has to be Jamesy to start that game. It's just through the middle and on the left who I think is going to start. I think it will be Dyson on the left. And I think it'll be either Kenny or Reida through the middle, but I would like it to be Dyson through the middle.
Yeah, I mean, McLaughlin's suggesting, as we just said, this idea, I don't want to go with a false nine. Under no circumstances do I want to just try and hit and hope, so to speak. We've had to do that at times. Remember, we infamously played Jamesy Forrest as a striker.
Yeah.
That's desperation stuff. There is enough options to move it around. There's another one that's getting thrown in there. If we're looking at possibility of using the midfield, why don't we change it then? Why don't we go with a 4 at the back, right? We go with a 4 at the back, then we go for like a 4 and then one in, but like a 10. Use Yamada as a kind of floating, maybe not necessarily a winger, but use him as a floating in behind the striker. Is something like that even an option? Because he got good runs, but his type of play, similar to Kyogo, maybe even Focal argue and say that's why it has to be there through the middle. I didn't think that in behind channels were quite there against Kairat Almaty. Where that's going to happen again tonight, if they are going to have more options, people seem to think that they're going to be sticky here. Is that maybe why, by default, you end up with Kenny or Ida that can be a bit more of a target guy?
I think that's what's going to happen. Brendan Rodgers isn't one for changing his formation before a game. We kind of joked about the whole Ange Postecoglou regime. Ange had a plan A. If plan A didn't work, plan B was due, plan A better. Brendan has plan A, plan B and plan C. He's one of these guys that will start the game 4-3-3, guarantee. That's how we're going to start it. But that can change to 3-5-1, 3-5-2, sorry, and
Barry up
there. Barry Ferguson there, 3-5-2s and 6 and 3-5-8-4. I'm no good with the numbers. All right, Barry, well done, mate. But yeah, like a 3-5-2, we've seen him change to that previously as well, and seen a lot of people calling for that, getting them. Like you said, we've got the midfielders. Why not pack that midfield?
Yeah. Mate, there's a lot of shouts for this Benjamin Negrin, who he has played in multiple positions up front. One thing I would say about him is anticipation was good there. Yes. When we saw that, the goals at the weekend, that's the sort of sharpness that we like. Good strike for Kenny as well, opportunistic. Shin, good couple of... So
Shin scored as well, but he was offside, obviously. But
the other guys that are the options there have shown that they can get in and around the box, and it really is a flip of the coin for me.
Yeah.
Really,
well,
really
he does slightly injured, doesn't he? There was talk about that. Brendan had said he has travelled. Well, he's maybe done an Igamani again. I don't know what the deal is here. Saying he's injured and that's why he's been crap.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Ida has travelled with the squad. So I don't think he's going to be the one if he has been carrying an injury. That'll be straight in. So it's got to be Kenny.
Well, the big question is, Paddy, we can sit here, we'll know soon enough what these lineups are going to be.
You'll find out in an hour,
in terms of the actual squad, we know of course we think we've got enough in the tank. It'd bloody be embarrassing. I'm going to die in that hill. Clip it, touch wood, hairy wood and everything else, that it comes through, that we get through the night, right? However, I'm going to die in that hill. It will be embarrassing if Celtic can't get through with the quality that we've got, with the focus, with all the chat that we've been doing, with the injuries, with the suspensions to this team.
Yeah.
That for me is stacked in our favour, and they should be ashamed if they can't go and do it. But let's look at the alternative option here, where it does go deep. You're hitting 70 minutes, you're hitting 75 minutes.
Who have you got?
Do you feel the options, whatever way the manager flips it and who he starts and who he rests or whatever, do you feel confident at this moment in time, regardless of the quality of the opposition, that you're bringing them on because it might not be to go and grab you the winner. It could be to get through extra time. More importantly, have the quality to maybe take penalties.
Yeah. Another thought on that as well is Casper fully fit. Can he get that right arm up now? I don't know what the deal is there. Do you change him out? Is it going to be a miraculous one if it does go to penalties? Listen, substitutes make all the difference. You've seen it last night in the Liverpool game as well, bringing that young laddie on. What a difference he made. So, do I think we've got quality like that on the bench? No, I don't. But I think we've got players that will want to make an impact and players that have to make an impact. And players that have to turn up tonight for me are Arnie Engels. This is one for him that he has to do something. I mean, I was sitting there at the telly doing the old day something.
But see, the thing is you spoke about Arnie Engels, and that's why I threw it. You should be put him in because again, and this is it's a rock and a hard place. As some of the commentators are saying, say it's Kenny or Shin, whoever, and he scores a winner. Folk will say, but we just Kairat Almaty, right? And that's an easy one. You chuck it. In the same way, folk will say, after what I say here, but it's Livy. The one thing I did like, we've been shouting and championing, you should be getting more involved, you should be taking a responsible role in the midfield for Celtic. Arnie Engels, against Livy, I like the energy, I like the tempo, I like the eagerness to get involved, constantly looking for the ball. He was trying to join things up. He looked like a guy that I think he needs to add to his game. He needs to get those goals from open play. He needs to start turning himself into more of a Matt Riley type of player. Now, I know they're two different guys, but if he can add that to his game, then it'll take a lot of pressure off him, I think, in terms of opinion. But if he needs to keep on doing what he did against Livy, now, did it work every single time? Of course it didn't. But he came looking for the ball and he was trying to make it move. He looked basically like a guy who decided, we're winning the day, I'm putting in a good performance. And that's the kind of form that he needs to bring into these games, mate.
That's what I should do every game. For me, it does have the ability. That's why it's so frustrating. You've seen it. Spoke about games before, and we spoke about it even when we were on this as Axom. Says to Paul John Dykes about the Slovan Bratislava game, which I feel was Arnie Engels' best performance in a Celtic jersey. He needs to get that, and I think he is more suited to the European style of football, as is Paulo Bernardo, but I don't think we'll see him. I think your main shout is it between Benji Negrin, who scores twice at the weekend and has a great performance, gets a man in a match performance, or is it Arnie Engels, who all of a sudden has had a decent game? I think for me, I'd have to go Negrin, but I want Engels to start. I want Negrin to start because I think he offers us more, but I'd love to see Engels actually do something.
I think we are midfield. I think people are saying, and there's another all hinges San Fran saying if Dyson turns up, that'll make it the difference. Absolutely. That goes for multiple players. That even goes for, and he's not immune from criticism, that goes for Cal McGregor. Because he's been coming in for a wee bit of flack. You gave a very rousing, sort of passionate defence of him the other night we've done it. But you can also understand why folk are saying it, because look at that Kairat game. There was a lot of pointing, there wasn't a lot of action. It's up to guys to put his money where his mouth is and show why he's a captain and drive us on. Big talk. He says, not a problem. It better not be a problem, Cal, we need you to do, but then him, Arnie Engels, Dyson, guys that have had sort of lukewarm, wee flashes of their best. Great opportunity tonight to go and do it. But again, this is why we need to get it right first time, because when we look at the guys that are on the bench, you just mentioned them, Paulo Bernardo, he was a guy that for me, he needed 90 minutes against Livy. He didn't get it. Obviously, you might say, well, it's just to give a bit of time to Cal McGregor, get on speed. Then I look at McCowan. Now, we've criticised Hatate for losing the ball quite a lot. See, when you sit him and McCowan side by side, stats-wise, McCowan's just as bad by it losing the ball, because he's so eager, like Hatate, get forward, that we're in the final third of the pitch, and see if he makes an astray pass, it's at a vital point. It's not like in the middle, or it's not in defence, it's when you should be punching through the lines. I don't think McCowan or Bernardo have done enough in that Livy game where I look at it and go, feeling brilliant if I bring them on, get the job done with what we've got, and they can get brought on to tie things up.
Bernardo had a couple of wee times when he chipped the ball through and looked like he was on a decent kind of wavelength with strikers and stuff, but he didn't really do enough. And that, for me, going into a game like this, like we've said, it's all in, it's all or nothing. This is a game where you need your big players to step up and grab the game. And yes, Callum McGregor, as a captain, has to be in there. He has to show these players, like I said before, these are players from all around the world. They they've come in here and they're playing for Celtic. Yes, it's all nice. They're getting their wages and whatever, but they don't know what that means. They don't understand. They don't bleed green and white like us. They don't have that passion. And that's why I got a wee bit animated the other night. I was
like a passionate Paddy. That's good, man.
I had a wee glass of whiskey and I was sitting there just shouting the odds because I thought that people were bad-mouthing my captain. And for me, you need that in there. You need Callum in there because he's got that bite. And when he drives forward, it just gives you such an option because everybody else moves with him. And that's what you need in there. If Callum McGregor turns up and performs, we win.
Yeah, I hope so.
100%.
I hope so. I hope that they get moving and I hope that Callum McGregor has that hunger and that desire to get forward because I do see some of the comments just coming back in. I feel that at times Callum has been maybe slowing things down. I think when he moves, when he's got that hunger, when he's got that desire, I think that is when you'll get the best out of everybody around him. Yeah. And I think looking at it, we said it, and it's not trying to shame the guy or anything. He looked like he was about to burst out greeting by me. Yeah. He looked like he'd seen a ghost, right? He's hurting after that. And that's the kind of fuel to get you moving on. So hopefully he does that. But Paddy, are you still confident then as we wrap things up that is it a 3-0 or is it? I mean, are you genuine? Can you see it? I'm genuine. Because I'm not being flippant. Can you see it? We sat here the other week and we went 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. Seen some mental scores getting thrown out.
Yeah.
That was in the backdrop of our home stadium, 60,000, familiar pitch. Blah, 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 blah. We're going over there to Almaty. Have you seen the pitch?
No.
It's got one of the big, stupid running tracks, Hampden style around it.
Lovely.
The pitch is miles for the fans.
We're all right at Hampden.
Right? Well, we are all right, unless it's Aberdeen. But, the point is, everything was aligned for us to go and do that. The chips are stacked against you, so really, can you see it being that comfortable?
Yes, I certainly can.
Well, there you go.
I think if Celtic turn up, like I said, if we've got our captain driving this squad on, like Steve said, you seen the interview, sitting there, looked like he was about to greet. We've seen him greeting after the cup final because it was the only one he's ever lost in a Celtic jersey, and that is ridiculous when you think about that statistically. Now all the Sevco baddies fans, whatever you want to call them, were jumping on that, and they'd do pictures of Callum crying, and they were putting them all over their socials and stuff, and that's not going to happen again for me. He's obviously seen all this and he's obviously taken that on board and he knows what it means and he knows the desire. He knows what we need to do. So I have got no doubts at all that Brendan will have them up for it by watching his interview. He's got these guys moving. He's got everything going in the right direction. And I think that Callum's going to install that on the pitch and it'll be an early goal for me just to get us that wee bit of comfort. Yeah, settle the nerves and then it'll be a bit of domination. I think we'll dominate the possession. I feel like we have got plenty in the tank and we'll even be able to change it a little bit after the 60th minute.
Well, let's, before we finish up, get a couple of opinions in. There we go. It's 3 hours to go, as we say. I've got here 2-0. I'll take it. Dan on the YouTube, 2-0. It seems a wee bit sort of familiar here that we're getting out there. There's another 2-0. 2-0's in flavour, mate.
Stick on. Like, get it on. Get it on.
Responsibly and all that.
Responsibly.
There you go. 2 goals for Ida. An overhead kick and a half volley.
I'll give you the money myself.
Exactly, Pam. A bit more cautious. She is going for 2-1. Yep, Allen's 4-0 down. He's not. I love that.
Give them nothing.
Beating this mob, they have the first teams. 4-0. Yes. Imagine 4-0.
Where's Wally? Wally's always good with a prediction.
Harley Riders going 3-1 and Celtic. There's another 3-0. Easy. Easy indeed.
I think this is
a plan. I think this is a Sivkonian. But in fairness, we are a podcast open to all. See, as long as you
like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. No, but seriously, mind your P's and Q's. Don't mind having people in the chat as long as there's no abuse, there's no unsavoury stuff. We don't want to see any of that garbage. And maybe as a Rangers supporter, but you know what? That is what it is. He thinks 3-0 to Kairat. Well, I think it probably was 3-0 to Bruce Mora if he were one anyway. So there you go. But that is what it is. 1-0. That's it. Harley Riders.
CCV header for a set piece, mate. Come on. Have you seen us for set pieces?
3-1. Listen, Saigo boy, I'll take a 96-minute in off somebody's backside. I don't care how they come across. So I think this might be another infiltrator and Almaty win. I mean, come on, surely.
That's a Kairat.
Is it? Well, I mean, there we go. If that's somebody for Kazakhstan, and absolutely.
Welcome.
Support your team. And thanks to Ryan, he's saying top pod, love it. Loopy's in the house, 5-4 on penalties.
Oof.
Holy moly.
Off my tick,
I don't think I could handle that.
Oh,
I don't think I could handle that.
can you imagine me in here?
But see if it's a penalties. It would need to be a master class. It need to be Sinassal one. I know that is bold, but I'm not risking that again. I'm not risking that happening there. Let's see what else we've got before that. Alan Devine, better responsible, 125 Celtic in both halves. Dies in the Calmac to score. You know, I put Cal McGregor on to score or assist last week. I just felt that we were going to get one of the Rockets film. Yeah. And I think that with the sort of...
We know what it means.
The way that he's been playing, I think he'll be eager to influence the game by way of a goal or assist. That'd be what I say. I hope that I am right. But anyway, listen, we've went nearly an hour. Bouncing well over 100, about 125, 126 there at the top end. So love it for you sticking about and staying that. We'll be back after the event to talk about it. Hopefully, Paddy, come on, hopefully, mate. Hopefully, it's a win. Bye. We'll know soon enough, won't we?
Easy money.
Easy money.
The game tonight is on Amazon Prime.
Yes, so that's good. Exactly. Amazon Prime. Love it. Get yourself involved. So we'll get out your hair. And do you know what's funny? Somebody said that to me. Actually, it's a figure of speech. I say it all the time. You're bald. Joe's bald. Paul's bald. I said it last night. Tommy Harrell's bald. I can't help it. I'll get out your hair. Do you know what I mean? There we go. But we'll get out your hair. And if you don't have hair, we'll just get out your ear then. How about that?
That's fair enough.
So until the next time, take care of yourselves. Hit the subscribe. Grow the channel. Cost you know how to do it. Paddy, send us home, mate.
Thanks all, guys. Keep the faith. 3-0. Hail, hail.
See you later.